Mr Willie.
Thank you, Chair. As Minister for Small Business, do you have any concerns around the fairness and the way in which your government administers grants and the impact on competition and trade? There's a much talked about grant for a distillery that has been a topic of discussion this week. Have you got any comment on the fairness of that? I mean, in fact, all distilleries have had to self-fund their own upgrades. Why is one more important than the others?
It's not my area, Mr Willie.
No, I'm just asking as Small Business Minister, do you have a concern about the way your government administers grants?
Let me think about that. My concern is to make sure that everything in my portfolio areas is managed as well as we can manage that, and probity is very, very important. And you've heard me today even having to sort of be careful about that and the probity of how we go about administering grants. We have scenarios, for example, I'm thinking of the announcement I made yesterday of the funding for our Small Business Growth Grant round, where we were hugely oversubscribed. It was very, very popular. Now, that tells me that we're doing something right in our communications with stakeholders and understanding what businesses want. And I think in particular the business intenders or the new ideas that are coming through and how we kickstart those, that's an area where we have to be really scrupulous. I think we do that very well through our department and certainly made some announcements yesterday. I personally am always open to improving the way we do things in areas that I control and processes that sit within my department or our departments. In relation to procurement processes more generally, I think that the government has a very good weather eye on those, and certainly if there's information about how we deal with those things that comes through, I'm certain people are listening.
My question, Minister, is as Small Business Minister, do you have a concern? I mean, we're talking to distilleries who are furious that one distillery has been, the recipient.
They picked the winner.
Yeah, and we know that State Growth has grant funds in advanced manufacturing. Distilleries have been told that that's unavailable to them because it will preference one over the other. So this appears to go against State Growth's own ruling. Do you have concerns about the impact on competition and trade?
You might need to ask that question in State Growth. Again, I say it's not my area, but I am very concerned to make sure that everything we do in our area, and I think we've done that well, is done with complete probity.
So you've got no concern about this particular grant and the impact on competition and trade?
It's not in my area, Mr.
I'm asking you as Small Business Minister. Surely you have an interest in it.
I have an interest in all small businesses, and in particular those who wish to grow, and we've got our growth strategy there. What I can say just more broadly on competition issues, that is a matter that is built into the fundamentals of procurement processes, and something I know that those processes are alive to. In relation to specific grants, I can't comment.
I'm sure if there's any distilleries listening, they'd be alarmed that you don't have any concerns about competition and trade in that sector.
It's not actually what I said.
Businesses that miss out on the grants. The oversubscribed grants. How disappointing for them to know that they could just be picked as a winner if you potentially knew the right avenues to go down.
Was that a question?
I support the question from the member for Elwick, which you haven't answered. As Small Business Minister, are you concerned on behalf of small businesses that they might put in for grants, have them be oversubscribed, and then see someone else picked as a winner?
Let's let the Minister answer.
Well, this didn't go through a grant process. It was a clear picking of a winner.
Even more galling.
Right. So I have just said I'm very concerned to make sure probity is adhered to, and in particular I am very concerned when we have issues, as we did yesterday, where I announced a number of grant recipients who are all worthy, and we were hugely oversubscribed for that grant round. So in my area, what I try to do is rely on my department and their sage triaging of those applications and the work that they do with small businesses to make sure that we select the ones that we think will do well from the grant process. Having said that, I have in the past been on many, on the other side of the table, and thinking back to I think Mr. Valentine and I spoke about the Salamanca Arts Centre days. It's very difficult when you miss out on grants. It's very, very hard, and I'm very alive to that issue. When we have a grant process that is hugely oversubscribed, as I have with the growth strategy, it tells me that we're hitting the mark with our strategy and that our implementation plan is spot on. So that's what I can say from my portfolio area.
As Small Business Minister, what do you say to the distilleries that are concerned about the fairness of this particular grant?
I don't believe that I have personally heard from any of them, but the distillery area and that sector of our economy is very important.
Can I just check, Minister, what was the size of the grant program that you announced yesterday?
So the size?
Yeah.
It's $1 million grant program that sits under the growth strategy.
So the $1.2 million given to this distillery could have more than doubled the size of that grant program. We could have given it to twice as many businesses. That's a shame.
Yeah.
The distillery could have applied through that grant program, got some of it themselves validly. How sad.
Ms. Howlett?